invitation by the Chief of Defense Staff to come to give a keynote address or lecture on this auspicious occasion. And I reason that it would be most appropriate to have an address rather than a lecture. So I do hope that my address meets your expectations, because I believe that what I will be touching on meets, in my view, the very essence of what the conference is all about, which is to enhance the effectiveness otherwise, or if you like, sustain the winning ways of our operational engagements. So it's in that light that this address is made. So on that note, let me say that I wish to appreciate the Chief of Defense Staff for the honor of inviting me to this event as keynote speaker. I am delighted to be here at the Defense Headquarters, being my first since disengagement from active military service, close to a year. By June, it will be exactly 1 year, June 19th, precise. Let me therefore congratulate the Chief of Defense Staff and the service chiefs for all the efforts at keeping the peace in partnership with other stakeholders, as well as effectively administering the armed forces. The challenges are obvious, and I'm glad to observe that you are expectedly weathering the storm. Please do keep it up. The operations of the armed forces to rid the nation of crime and criminality have continued relentlessly. Every passing day in these operations manifests the imperatives of jointness. The organization of this conference, therefore, is the right thing to do. I am hopeful that the outcome of the deliberations will deliver greater effectiveness and efficiency of the armed forces of Nigeria. As commanders, you are problem solvers. In solving problems, challenges are to be seen as opportunities. Your review of the situation should lead you to creatively craft options that give you the winning edge. It is not expected that you just occupy space, groveling over your limitations amongst several other issues. You must stay focused on your core mission and deliver the operational objectives. The situational awareness within your areas of responsibility must be of interest to you. More than ever before, the threats will continue to evolve, and I'm glad the CDS touched on it, as well as the Chief of Defense Training and Operations. The tactics of the adversary is non-linear. You must expect wicked problems that will not offer you the luxury to work at your pace. Accordingly, you must be adaptive. Your solutions and approaches cannot be linear. In theater adaptive training, logistics and administration of your forces should occupy you as much as your operational plans and actions. The more attention you pay to these areas, the more the wins. I do not need to re-emphasize the role of operational visits to the front lines. The value and moral contents of such visits are unquantifiable. Civil-military relations disposition within your environment must be measured, operationally relevant, and transparent. The nuances of the contending threats must not be lost on you. Adaptability, as earlier espoused, aimed at pointed solutions, as opposed to mere visibility, is critical if you must make the desired impact. The employment of technology to deal with the current and future challenges is imperative. You need to escalate its deployment. Remember, the global community is operating under the auspices of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Artificial intelligence and its tools are within the reach of all, including the adversaries that you are confronting. The value of GIWA 2 projects within effective operations matrix is enormous. I urge you to fully exploit it for the good of the armed forces operations. The recent sad occurrence in Okuoma, where we lost our gallant and very committed officers and soldiers, requires further analysis and conversation. I'm glad that at the beginning of this conference, which later on the Chief of Defense Staff also alluded to, we paid our respect to these fallen heroes, amongst, of course, several others that we have lost over the years. And I think it's the right thing to do. I'd like to say that their deaths, talking about Lieutenant Colonel A.H. Ali and the other officers and soldiers of 181 Amphibious Battalion, their deaths in such a bizarre and savage condition cannot and will never be justified. The perpetrators of this heinous crime must be made to face the full wrath of the law. To forestall future occurrence, therefore, there must be further conversations on the limit to aid to civil authority. As we encourage non-kinetic operations and community engagements, are there limits? Is it an omnibus mandate? Should the military be the first responders in situations such as Okuoma crisis? Are there red lines? Is it necessary? I believe that it is necessary for the armed forces to curtail the apparent descent to see-finish syndrome. That's my coinage. The integrity of the armed forces, if at any time is impugned, will mean ominous signs for the nation. I therefore counsel that we, as members of the armed forces, remain on the path of professional excellence. This conference should examine the vital options in this regard. To the service chiefs, I am delighted to observe that you are raising the bar on the imperatives of jointness. I would like to maintain my counsel as you undertake your tasks that there is no individual trophy. The value proposition of your service is the quality and skill set of components within the joint space. How well trained are the troops you are contributing? What is the capability and serviceability state of the equipment being deployed to the joint environment? What is the psychological state of your personnel? How motivated are they to the cause for which they are being deployed to the joint environment? Without doubt, I am convinced that these and many more questions are occupying your minds, and that periodically you are deliberating on the key issues with the Chief of Defense Staff. It is necessary to remind you that you have been on this plane for far too long. The results are stark. They clearly show no more room for operational stovepipes and service protectionism. You must endeavor to speedily implement conclusive measures to make joint operations effective and result-oriented. No more space for lip service in relation to actualizing the spirit and letter of joint force concepts and operations. I encourage you to motivate your subordinates to think beyond single service. Encourage them to shun parochial and divisive and counsel in their briefs and estimates to you as touching matters of jointness. The Chief of Defense Staff must be bold in leading you to get appropriate political backing to effectively implement the details of joint force capacity building and utilization. I submit that any attempt to trivialize these issues will keep the performance level of the armed forces below par. You will not be happy at the turn of events in future if this fails. I know you very well, objective, focused, forward-looking, and solution-centered military leaders. I'm convinced that you will do the needful because you can. May I take the liberty of the presence of the Honorable Minister of State for Defense and as well as the two other ministers that are here at this event to state that the support of the Ministry of Defense in ensuring the effectiveness and efficiency of the armed forces is crucial. The Ministry of Defense must proactively engage from the perspective of knowledge of the demands. You must have knowledge of what the demands are.